Welcome to Mortgage Marketing Radio, brought to you by the Mortgage Marketing Institute, your number one source for truth in mortgage marketing.
Hey listeners, Jeff Zimfer. Welcome to this week's episode of Mortgage Marketing Radio. I am so glad you're here. We're talking about, once again, CRM, Customer Relationship Management. And the reason why is because my purpose, my mantra here, my tagline, if you will, is truth in mortgage marketing. And so I want to bring you people, content, resources, tools, information to help you become a better version of you. That's right, to help you be the best person, the best professional that you can be. And so sometimes what that means is I'll have a vendor on, right? And I have no association or affiliation for compensation to a particular vendor. So you can know that I'm only bringing them to you because I think they've got something important and valuable for you to be aware of. And so that's why this week I'm bringing to you Whiteboard Mortgage CRM. And it's interesting, on this interview, you'll hear from Jordan, who's in marketing over there at Whiteboard. And I love it. She said, one of their core beliefs at Whiteboard is they want to help loan officers relive your most successful day every day. I thought, wow. Think about that for a second. Think about a great day that you had, a great day in terms of loan closings, new leads coming in, referrals from partners, and everything just went well. It clicked. You got referrals from your past database and things were just humming and moving along, and you achieved the tasks that you wanted to. You're able to close more loans, create better relationships, increase referrals. That's the vision for Whiteboard Mortgage CRM. Relive your most successful day every day. Or as one of their clients says, Cody Hardridge, what Whiteboard has allowed him to do is automate the very best version of himself. I like it. I like it a lot. And I think there's some really key features and functionality in Whiteboard that I want you to listen to here, particularly if you're one of those who, aren't sure quite how to integrate a CRM into your business, are a little bit intimidated by a potentially very cumbersome onboarding process and learning curve. I think that's where Whiteboard might be of interest for you because of the short learning curve, because of a lot of the built-in tools, templates, scripts. Like if you're going to make calls to past clients and partners, guess what they've got on their dashboard? Scripts. That's right. Talk tracks for you to follow. So when you're making those past client database calls or those annual mortgage review calls, et cetera, you've actually got talk tracks and scripts to follow, including all the stuff you would expect in any robust CRM, automated marketing campaigns, reports and analytics, ready-made templates, right? A dashboard that allows you to, at a glance, manage your daily tasks and priorities and communicate with partners on milestones during the loan process. So anyway, and then they're also going to tell you a little bit about this thing called the Mortgage Playbook, which is really cool. Whiteboard Mortgage CRM, as I said, was built exclusively for loan officers, and actually much of the process, the architecture, and the content in the Mortgage Playbook, which is those scripts and tasks and handwritten notes, et cetera. A lot of that has been formulated by some of their top loan officers that are also clients. One of those is my friend Dominic Dangora, who was on the podcast last year, and you can find him over at mortgagemarketinginstitute.com/61, and you'll hear how Dominic went from 16 loans to 236 loans in record time. So I encourage you to take a listen to Whiteboard. It's not a long session. We just get right into it and cover the nuts and bolts of, how do you make an evaluation of the right CRM for you and your specific situation. And if you like what they have to say, then you can check them out. Links to them in the show notes. Hey, Jordan, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I am doing better. For the listeners, you may have heard in the intro, you know this already because you and I talked before, but I just recently moved to Vegas, and it's been a whirlwind, and I'm just now getting over this tough cold. So if you hear it in my voice, I apologize in advance. But we are here to carry on a conversation that's been kind of a recurring theme for myself and for the listeners. And the reason is because people want to know, right? Inquiring minds want to know the importance of having a CRM. So, Jordan, if you could take us a second, tell the listeners a little bit about you and Whiteboard.
Absolutely. So my name is Jordan Douglas. I'm the marketing manager here for Whiteboard Mortgage CRM. And my job, on a day-to-day basis is to get the word out, not only about Whiteboard, but, about good, solid relationship management in general.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about good, solid relationship management. What does that look like in the mortgage world?
So I think in the mortgage world, you've got two parts. You've got your industry partners, right? And then you've got your actual customers, whether they be borrowers, co-borrowers, you have it. Of course, that comes with its own set of challenges within the marketing industry because the messaging between the two is so different, right? What you need to inform your borrowers of are things like what type of mortgage loans are there. If they're a first time borrower, what is it that they need to know? You obviously don't need to tell your referral partners that. And so, as you're balancing those things, you're juggling maintaining those relationships, keeping up communication. It can be hard sometimes, especially for loan officers who are so busy regardless, to know whom they've told what.
Mm. So, why do you think? Have you seen loan officers be reluctant to integrate a CRM and use that in their business? And if so, why do you think so?
You know, Here's what I say about that. I think every single loan officer out there is using a CRM. They may not have purchased the platform. They may be using their Outlook calendar. They may have 17 different Excel spreadsheets and an address book. They may have a Rolodex, but they're using CRM and they are managing their relationships. Our opinion, obviously, here at Whiteboard is, why should you create this kind of Frankenstein's monster CRM of your own when you can have a system that's built specifically for you to efficiently manage those relationships? You're doing so anyway.
Yeah, but I'm already so busy as a loan officer, right? And I know.
Right.
I should have a CR. I should follow up with my past clients. I should kind of automate some of these touch points in the process so I don't have stuff fall through the cracks. But man, I just don't. I can't seem to get to it. What do we say to those people?
Sure. So, a lot of times there's actually a statistic out there right now. It's sitting at about 63% of CRM implementations fail. That's not a good number, especially whenever you think about the cost and time that these people, these loan officers, these businesses are putting into the implementation, or at least trying to implement these systems. And so at Whiteboard, what we want to do is create something that it doesn't take more work from you than you're willing to put in or that you want to put in. Of course, you always have the option with any CRM, but with Whiteboard, our goal is for you to be able to use this on day one. We want someone to be able to start their job being a loan officer on day one and perform like a top producer. Or we want your assistant to be able to efficiently handle your tasks even without you being there. We want the people who are listening right now, if they've been sitting there thinking about how can I perform better, what can give me that edge, we want them to be able to log into Whiteboard as soon as they purchase the platform and start making a difference for their business. Instead of worrying about setup, instead of having a million meetings deciding, triggers and who does this, and if this email gets clicked, well, what happens next? We don't want you to have to think about that. That's not your job. Your job is to help people close loans, to help people get into homes.
Right. You've heard the old saying that the best CRM is the one you use.
Right. Absolutely. It does take work. What we preach to our customers, and I'd really preach this to anyone, we've got kind of 3 steps that we encourage during the day for use of Whiteboard. The first is just to log in. The second would be to update your client records. So if someone has moved in the pipeline, let's say they've filled out their 1003, so they're going to be in that pre-qualification process, you're going to just move them into that pipeline sequence, which is what we call it, and they're going to automatically start receiving emails that come from you talking about that part of the process, what comes next and what we need from them. And then the next part would be to complete the tasks that you're prompted to complete. So whether you have Whiteboard or not, that's going to sound like things, making partner phone calls, calling your borrowers to update them on the status of their loan, sending out needs lists, things like that. With Whiteboard, it's a little easier because those are handled for you and your tasks are prompted for you and your scripts are written for you. But, this is a daily process. This isn't something that you can just sit back and do nothing. A CRM, in my opinion, and I think in your opinion, is the goal is to automate those things that aren't necessarily there. It's the minutia, right? It's the things that we don't necessarily want to be doing, sending those emails. Yes, it helps. Yes, it's important, but it still feels like a waste of time.
Yeah.
Whenever I could be writing someone a note, building an actual personal relationship with them. And so that's what a CRM can do for you. You don't have to think about those loan update emails. Instead, you can give someone a phone call and ask how they're doing.
Hmm.
You can go have that meeting. You don't have time to go do otherwise because you're too busy filling out paperwork. It's to give you time to be better, not to do something for you, I guess.
Well, I love one of the comments that's on your website by Cody Hardridge, who it says, what the CRM has allowed me to do is automate the very best version of myself. Right. And I think that's the key there. And I think you've alluded to that in what you just pointed out there is that, look, there's a lot of different activities, tasks that need to happen throughout the career of a productive loan officer. And some of those are much more higher dollar tasks, such as talking to potential borrowers. And that's what definitely we should be doing primarily. And I think what happens is because that's the highest payoff task, well, I see two things happen. One is, right, a good loan officer spends most of their time doing that. But two is we get caught in that, production roller coaster where we get out, we produce, and then we have to spend time processing, babysitting, staying in touch, top of everything.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm beating the drum on a CRM, because the CRM can help you, as I just said, automate the very best version of yourself, and complete some of those perhaps lower dollar value tasks, but that still are important.
Right. And, those types of things they're the type of things that just take up brain space. You don't want to have to think about who you've told needs to send you in a copy of their driver's license, who needs to make a phone call to what partner because you need something from them. You don't want to have to think about those things when you could be thinking about what moves can I make for my business? What can I add to my, social presence to improve that? What can I do to go above and beyond and really step out amongst the pack as someone that can keep up with all of their contacts and do the extra stuff that everybody else can't figure out how they have time to do.
Yeah, and another thing, let's just state the obvious here. So technology and the conversation, the digital mortgage experience.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's growing, I think, in momentum. And I think everybody's becoming aware of the continuing influence of technology having an impact in the loan officer role. And maybe some people are a little bit concerned about that. So here's the question, right? If push button mortgage truly exists or is going to exist, what's going to separate you as a loan officer from the pure push button solution? And it's going to come down to your customer experience and your partner experience.
Absolutely. And when you think about it, it's really always been that way. Whether it's been a technology-based fear or anything else, we always are looking for, well, if this happens, then what? Or how can I stand out if everybody's doing this? And, whatever. And that's how we come up with new innovations. It's how we come up with technology. CRMs all came out in mass at once because it's solving a problem that people have. It's really, though, how you use it. You have no more or less access than any of your competitors. It depends on what kind of work you want to put into it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think one of the benefits of having a CRM that you use is that is a differentiator. Because if you can create a positive experience for your customers and your realtors, and it's not dependent upon manual labor, well, then guess what? It's duplicatable and it's scalable, which means if you can remove you from doing most of the heavy lifting, that allows you to grow.
One of our little catchphrases here is that we want to help people to relive their most successful day every day. And through processes, through automated tasks, through automated emails, whether you're having the best day of your life or the worst day, or maybe you're not even in the office, the people on the other side won't know the difference. And, your partners and your borrowers, the people that are paying your bills, to put it frankly, they deserve that good experience, and they deserve for you to be at your best every day. And whether you can physically do that or not, we all have days that, maybe we're not as efficient as we could be. We've got other things going on. We're busy. We're in and out of the office. With a CRM that you maintain and that you have set up, or that's set up for you, even better, you don't have to worry about those types of things. Everyone on the other end is seeing from you exactly what they want to see. I personally have a little bit, I think, of a different perspective than most in this industry, in that I'm a millennial. And so I've grown up, with the expectation of technology to do things for me. to put it simply. So I absolutely 110% expect to quickly hear back from a company, to quickly hear back from a person about any kind of inquiry, whether it be a loan or anything else. It just, I know from my own experience that it's possible. And so because it's possible, it's what people expect. And we can fight it all day long and try not to implement a CRM, try not to do this and try not to do that. But the bottom line is, if your competitors are doing so and you're not, then you're behind.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. You know, what came to mind to me was the term I've heard before used is, are you creating a referable experience?
Right. And so, if your business, we hear so often people don't need a marketing platform. They don't need the marketing campaigns. They don't think marketing is important because their business is based on referrals. And that's great. Referral business is fantastic. It's reliable. It makes sense. But why not then capitalize on that? If you don't want to market to new people and you just want to, take advantage of referrals, then you can absolutely do that with a CRM, and you can do that better than anyone else that you know if you want to put in the work. A CRM is not just for new people. It's not just for new leads. You can use it for your past contacts, your past borrowers, to not only take advantage of refinancing opportunities, but those referrals and everything else.
Yeah, and those that are listening, if they've heard other podcasts in the past from top producers, they know, every loan officer knows that one of the hallmarks of being a top producer, if you will, or efficient, productive loan officer is mining your database, the gold in the database. But most, if you're honest, listening right now, would probably admit that you're not as good as you should be in that. So depending on where you are on that spectrum. What I hear more often than not is the reason why people don't call on their past databases. It's just not on top of their radar. They don't think of it, and then they don't make the time. I talk about time block, and then they don't feel they have enough time in their day to do it. So tell me how a CRM will help alleviate that.
That's perfect. So time blocking is actually a really important part, I think, of anyone's day if they want to be efficient. But a CRM can make it easier. And especially with Whiteboard, the way that we have set up our dashboard, you see your tasks lined out for you for your daily basis. So if I click into my dashboard right now and I see that I need to prepare a thank you note, then that's what I'm going to do. And it's easy to then look through that, check off your tasks as they're done, mark them as complete, and move on with your day, and delineate out what you need to do and delegate if you need to as well with your groups and with different options that you're going to have within our CRM. You can base your time and your day around exactly what you need to do. You don't have to, look over your desks for the 14 different Post-it notes you wrote down yesterday of, the notes that you took in your phone calls. You can see it all here, and then base your workflow essentially around something it's designing your workflow for you, right? Essentially, whenever you've got something that will populate your tasks and will do those types of things.
And I'm glad you used that word workflow, because having a day by design is really another hallmark of somebody who's highly productive, instead of being casual. Like I say, casualness leads to casualties,
Right, definitely. This is all about not letting people slip through the cracks. And while a CRM can kind of coat the floor, you still are going to have to sweep up a little bit. The fact remains that no matter how many emails are being sent out, and no matter who knows what they still need on their needs list, or your partner has been thanked for sending you a referral, those extra little things or those tasks that you have to complete during the day are still there. What Whiteboard can do and what a CRM can do is make sure that you're aware of that. You don't have to take up that brain space thinking about it, and you can design your workflow exactly the way that you need it to be for you to be the most efficient that you can be.
All right, that's great. So listen, I asked you to be on the podcast because there's a couple of things for me that stood out about Whiteboard, which is, again, for those listeners, I mean, I've got no dog in this hunt. I bring to you what I think is, truth in mortgage marketing. And so you've heard me talk about other CRMs on the podcast before, and I'm bringing somebody else to you now who I think is somebody that definitely should be on your short list to consider. A couple of things that stood out for me about you guys is, number one, this mortgage playbook. Tell listeners what that is.
So we designed Whiteboard with the help of top producers. We took 2 years going into this project before we released anything, before we created a line of code. We walked and talked and studied what top producers were doing, who they were talking to, what emails they were sending, what their practices were. and then worked with them to integrate that and put that into what we call the mortgage playbook. It's the recipe to LO success, all bundled up in one package. So the emails, the campaigns, the phone calls, the handwritten notes, those types of things that we saw people doing and saw truly making a difference, we wrote out for you. We populated for you. We wrote it with them so that those, hello, how are you? My name is so-and-so. We've got, I'm willing to help you with your mortgage needs, your loan needs, whatever, the introductory emails, the hey, are you still looking emails. We've got campaigns designed for when someone enters your system that after 15 days, they get a certain different type of email. The cadence switches up, those types of things that loan officers don't want to think about. Why would you have to think about that? I'm a marketing manager. Those of us that work with CRMs every day, those of us that work in marketing, especially, we've been trained, we've been taught, we work with this stuff every day. So let us handle it, is our opinion, so that you can do the things that you handle and that you're the best at. And the playbook is basically a stepping stone. Someone can buy Whiteboard on the first day, and they can use Whiteboard on the first day. Once they've imported their first contact, if, let's say this is an old, a past borrower that you think would be a great eligible person for a refinancing opportunity, you can put them into the system, put them as a refinancing opportunity in your pipeline sequences, and it will automatically insert them into that campaign. And they're going to start getting emails that are already written, that are persuasive, they're professionally written, obviously, that you haven't even had to think about or touch. Your name's going to be merged in, your signature, all of those things that make it look like it's from you. But you're off doing whatever else. You may be in a meeting, you may be closing someone's loan, signing paperwork, whatever, but that email is still going out and you're still doing your job. You're basically being in multiple places at once.
Yeah, like we said, automate the very best version of yourself, right?
Right. So, those great emails are just the beginning of that, obviously. And the playbook is made up of more than that. We've got call scripts. Like I said earlier, we want John Doe to walk in on day one. He's fresh and new. He just came from his interview. He signed up. He's in his suit. He's there on day one, and he walks in. He doesn't know anything about what he's doing, but he can sit down and perform exactly like a Cody Hardridge or any other top producer out there. Your assistant, maybe you need to take a vacation that week, but you're stressed out. You don't want your borrowers to not hear from you. You don't want your partners not hearing from you. This way, those emails are still going out. All of that is still happening, but it's off your mind. It's off your plate, and your assistant can then take those call scripts if they're prompted to call someone, and let's say make a referral partner call. All that script is gonna, or the script is gonna pop up. It populates. They can read through it. And they really don't have to say anything. It's going to pop in all of their variables, which is what we call them. So that's going to be, first name, last name, what their loan is. Maybe it's got the address on there, whatever it is. And they can just read that, close it out, complete the task, and it's done. They haven't had to think about it, and they don't really need to know what's going on. It doesn't matter because it's all within Whiteboard, and you can handle it that way.
That's just making it too easy.
I mean, it sounds too good to be true, but it's awesome. One of the cooler things, at least personally, we have something in the call scripts that even says if goes to voicemail and then finishes it out. So you don't even have to think about how you're going to close out that phone call if it's gone to voicemail, as opposed to a live person picking it up. Having to think about that doesn't make someone a better loan officer. Making those phone calls, establishing relationships, closing loans makes someone a good loan officer. And that's what we want to help you do.
Yeah, and it just makes sense to model those who have gone before and are obviously highly effective. So modeling best practices there was
right. And I listened to your previous episode, and you said that there were kind of 3 key areas to master in order to be an effective loan officer. You said it was completing tasks, getting your stuff done, communicating effectively, and tracking that communication, and marketing to your current, past, future clients. Those 3 things, that base right there, that's what we want to help you establish. right? Because that's what's important. And that's what's making you money. That's what's closing your loans, are those three things. No matter what extras and add-ons and anything else that you can add in there, at the end of the day, your partners and borrowers want to know what's going on, and you need to be closing your loans and doing what it takes to do those things. And this is really great for that.
Well, right. And thank you for bringing that up. As a matter of fact, there's one person in particular who's a client of yours who was on the podcast previously, Dominic Dangora.
Right.
Nobody's listened to him. You can go to mortgagemarketinginstitute.com/61. He's episode 61, where I talked to him about how in his first year in business, he did 16 loans. And in 2017, he did over 236 loans. So he knows a thing or two about growth and how to manage his growth. So, if Dominic, endorses Whiteboard, well, that's good enough for me.
Right. And Dominic's been an extremely important and valuable voice for us and a voice of input. He's a great customer of ours, and he helps us to this day continue to make Whiteboard better, which we strongly believe in. The great thing about the playbook, like you mentioned earlier, is that it's ever evolving, both on our side and it can be on the customer side as well. There really is not a thing that you cannot do with Whiteboard that you can cook up in your head. Our main goal is someone can use this on day one and they're going to be an effective loan officer on day one. But we don't want to limit you there, and there's no need to limit you there. And so our software doesn't limit you there.
Well, it's like you said earlier, it's that statistic about 63%, I think it was, of CRM installations fail. And correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the biggest reasons they fail is because they're too difficult. The learning curve is just crazy.
Right. Absolutely. You're taking on the job of a marketing strategist, a copywriter, an analytics manager, a software expert. You're writing code. There are just so many things that get thrown on your plate that, frankly, you're not prepared for. You shouldn't be expected to be prepared for. And there are people out there that can handle it. So let us handle it. We want you to be able to do what you want to be doing. You entered the mortgage industry, presumably because you enjoy doing what you're doing. Hopefully you enjoy it. You want to be a loan officer and do loan officer tasks. If you wanted to be a marketer, you could do this phone call for me instead. We don't all have the same strengths. And so, there's an Einstein quote, I believe, that's about, something along the lines of, if you expect a fish to climb a tree, he's going to spend forever thinking that he's stupid. There's no need to stare at a blank screen at a CRM that you just spent however many dollars on, that you had to convince so-and-so and so-and-so to get, and then sit down and look at it and realize you have no idea where to even begin. We don't want you to ever feel that way with Whiteboard. And so we designed it with people that already knew what they were doing so that we'd know what we were doing.
So I'm a listener. I'm sitting here, hearing about CRMs. I mean, obviously Whiteboard. How would you help a listener make the right decision for them if they're going to go forward with some type of a CRM?
So I think one of the things you have to think about first is how much work you're willing to put into it. If you're the type of person that's willing to spend, the hundreds of man hours that it's going to take to set up a completely customized CRM, then by all means, go for it. There are options out there for it. With Whiteboard, you really do have that option as well, but it's not our main goal. I think the amount of work is the first thing that you want to do. The second thing you want to think about is, what are my goals once I have it? One of the things that we like to do when we first have one of our initial phone calls with a new customer is establish those goals. What do you want to accomplish with your CRM? If you're aiming nowhere, you're going nowhere, right? So if you're wanting more referrals this year, okay, well, let's talk about how to take advantage of the referral campaigns that are already in here, where you can get more of those things. If you want to add emails to your campaigns, here's how you can do that. If you've got any great ideas of your own, it's all fully customizable, but it's also there, like I said. So, you don't have to pick something that's got every answer. It's got every bell and whistle, unless you're going to use every bell and whistle. Otherwise, you need to think about how you are going to accomplish what you want to accomplish. And then look at those systems and see, how much work does it look like I'm going to have to put in? How well does it fit my business? And how much work is it going to take to get it to fit my business if it doesn't already? You want to avoid the failure of implementation. Nobody wants a failure to launch project. It doesn't look good for anyone, right? We don't want that to be the case. And so you really have to think about that going in. if you and your team are willing to have meeting after meeting and think in depth and make out charts and flow charts and spreadsheets of who does what and what does what and what button leads to what action and things like that. If you have the time to think about that, then you're going to want to look at those options. If that doesn't seem plausible or possible to you, then there are quite a few CRMs that you can check off your list.
Mm-hmm.
And it really comes down to what is going to be important for you.
Right. So the takeaway there is do your due diligence.
Absolutely. And there's never any harm in that. We live in the digital age, right? I mean, everything is easily researchable, but it may take a little bit of thought, not just research and talking to people around you and maybe experimenting a little bit with what you can really do. Not everyone is comfortable as a writer. I can write emails all day long, but someone down the hall from me maybe can't. Mm-hmm. You don't want to set yourself up to fail. Essentially. Yeah. And not everyone's doing that. Some people can, pick up a super complicated CRM that's not set up from the get-go, and they can craft it into something absolutely magnificent. We have also had people, though, take Whiteboard, start using it from day one. It's working. It's helping you close more loans. It's mining for referrals. It's doing all the things that you want it to be doing while you're also building it out and adding to it, so that you're not starting from step zero. You're not starting from first base. You're already at home plate, and now we're going to go around again.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I like one of the comments that you have on your Facebook page, which is a great one to kind of bring it all home. For loan officers, imagine this for a moment. If you could have an extra hour in your day to do whatever you choose to do with, spend on your business, spend with your family, right? Get that workout in, you should be getting in, whatever it is, but it's about getting an hour back. That's what happens when you put the right systems and technology in place that allow you to automate or duplicate the very best version of yourself. You get that most precious commodity back, which is time.
Absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, that's what we're all looking for, is just some more time.
Absolutely. Good stuff. So if people want to learn more about Whiteboard, what do you suggest? Where should they go?
All right. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to go to whiteboardmortgage.com. You'll see our website there. At the bottom, you'll be able to sign up for a free demo if you're so inclined. There's a little form that you'll be able to fill out. And you'll also be able to get a call from one of our fantastic salespeople to really talk about not just Whiteboard in general, but let's talk about how Whiteboard can help you specifically, help your business specifically, because we come out of the box ready to go, but we're also ready to help you in whatever way you need as well.
Absolutely. And to point out, in case you guys haven't noticed already, it is the Mortgage CRM built exclusively for mortgage professionals. So it's not like it's a snap-on top of an existing platform. It is built from the ground up for us.
Absolutely. 100% to help loan officers close more loans.
Absolutely. So I think it's definitely worth you guys checking it out, which is why I brought it to your attention here today. And if you want to get more info, if you want to take a look at the dashboard, at some of those call prompts, I've seen them, by the way, what the scripts look like when you're in the dashboard and you're going to dial a past client or somebody who's, a lead or whatever, and the script pops up. Man, that makes your life really simple, including the ability to manage your daily tasks and schedule your priorities. All of course, what you would expect, reports, analytics. You want to run a list of people who, have got a 5.25 rate in your past database, et cetera, et cetera. Plus, I know the onboarding and training is great at Whiteboard. So,
absolutely.
I encourage you guys to check them out. So once again, that's what's the address?
Whiteboardmortgage.com.
All right. So, hey, listeners, thank you for tuning in to this episode. Hope you got a lot of value out of it. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Mortgage Marketing Radio. Want more truth in mortgage marketing? Get more free training and resources at mortgagemarketinginstitute.com.